Mamma mia!
Hello, my fellow creators! Today, we're going to be reviewing the Mario action figure made by Jakks Pacific, inspired by Mario from Mario Maker. But before we review this figure, I do want to ask if you do like this format of reviewing figures. Do you like the animation I made in the beginning and then doing the review? Or would you guys like to see something different? Please let me know. Anyways, let's get started into the review. Now, this Mario figure does have the standard articulation that you would expect from an action figure, having 11 points of articulation, by having a ball joint in both legs at the waist, and hinge joints at the knees. The figure also has a ball joint at the shoulder, a hinge joint at the elbow, and it also has a swivel joint for the wrist. And the last joint is a swivel joint at the head, but it is kind of hindered by Mario's big chin. The accessories this guy comes with is a removable belt, but I'm not going to remove it just because you are going to have to do a bit of maneuvering with the joints, but it is removable. And a hammer that fits in his hand perfectly and comes out of the belt or can be holstered in the belt, which is very nice. And it is also very nice to see that they printed a really nicely detailed M on the hammer to show for Mario. I really like that about this hammer. Now, before I do talk about the pros and cons of this figure, I do want to talk about how the overall sculpt is really good. For a $10 figure, it's really nice. I mean, that belt with all the detail and painting on it, it's really, really nice. And Mario's head sculpt is really good. I really like this figure a lot. Now, let's talk about the cons first. Now, his ball joints at the waist are very hindered by his fat belly. Like, if you see, I can only bend his leg backwards so far, and his leg doesn't really move forward at all. You can't really get him in any sitting positions, which is really a shame. But also, some of the paintwork is not the best. Like, if you look at his sideburn, you can really tell it's not fully painted. You can still see some of the flesh. It's not a solid color. And the paint smeared right around the sideburn as well, which I also really am not a fan of. And it's hard to tell on the camera, but it's also not fully painted on the figure either. Like, you could still almost see like a greenish or like some of the red still left over. They didn't fully paint the yellow on the side of his shirt the full color. And on his left sideburn, you can see that the paint doesn't fully cover that sculpt. So overall, there were a few paint errors. A lot of people might find that to be a bit of a big problem. I mean, it's not that bad. You can kind of ignore it, but it would have been nice to get a full color. Also, the ball joint at the waist also wasn't very good, but that's on all the figures, which I kind of understand. Getting a ball joint at his waist is probably really difficult for a Mario action figure, so I do give Jakks Pacific credit for at least trying. Okay, now let's talk about the pros. There are a lot of pros with this figure. The overall sculpt on this entire figure, like I said, is really good. They put a lot of detail into it, in my opinion. The face sculpt is really nice. The face paint is all really good, except for the sideburns, obviously. Also, like, they even engraved the little marks, not marks, but like the little seams in his overalls. And the belt with all those details, it's all super nice. Also, the helmet is sculpted to the figure's head, but the straps are not sculpted to the cheeks. They are not connected in any way, which I really appreciate, because if it was connected, it would have looked really off. So I'm happy they went the extra step to make it not attached. Plus, Jakks Pacific also made a bunch of different figures and different variants of this figure, including like a normal Mario. So you could really just have a bunch of different power-ups for this figure. I really like what Jakks Pacific is doing with their Mario action figures. Also, I already reviewed the articulation, but I forgot to mention that the articulation on this guy is pretty tight. I mean, some parts I guess are a little loose, but not really. I guess his elbow is a little loose, but it's not too loose to the point where you can't get poses. It's all really, it's the perfect tightness in my opinion. Anyways, the final verdict of this figure is it's a great figure. I definitely recommend you pick up this figure because it's a really good figure. That's all there is to say about it. It's only $10. I know I said for a $10 figure before, but this feels more like a $20 figure, $25 figure. It's a really nice feeling figure. It's nice and sturdy. I definitely recommend it. So yeah, pick this guy up while you can. I think this figure's kind of old, not gonna lie. So I'm pretty sure you can only get it on eBay. But you know what? Who cares? Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you enjoy this new format of having the animation and then the review. I will see you all later in the next video.